right, so that was hers. Obviously, we've been joking a bit because it seems ridiculous. She's not saying a whole lot of anything. She has a plan. She doesn't want to tell the plan. She doesn't know the plan.
Well, we're supposed to come up with it, apparently.
I mean, it's finding out what our aspirations and our hopes and dreams are at an individual level so that the federal government can then tailor how much money they throw at each of us for our dreams. I want to be independently wealthy. $1 billion is what I want. That is my aspiration.
I like his plan.
All right, you can sign up to my plan. Kamala, send the checks to Loaded Talk. Welcome to Loaded Talk. I am your congressman, the third most popular candidate to ever be. I am Frank, and along with me, as always...
What's up, planet Earth? I'm Bean.
Bean. So, we put a little delay in recording this one so that we can make sure we saw the debate, the first debate between Trump and now candidate Harris. There was a lot of run-up to it where... the Harris campaign was trying to change the rules. So the Trump and Biden teams set up the rules for all these debates early on. And so basically the same rules for CNN, which was supposed to be a very weak thing for Trump, same rules for ABC, muting the microphones in between and whatever else, So... the Harris campaign was like, no, we should have live mics. And what, is Trump afraid? Are his handlers afraid? And so they were doing that a lot. It was, the middle school, like, what are you, chicken thing? And at one point, Kamala Harris's own account retweeted this thing that was from ABC. And she was like, yeah, it's Donald Trump shouldn't be afraid of his handlers. He should, he should speak up for himself and say that he wants these mics to be on, And so I clicked on what they reposted, and ABC basically said, we submitted the final debate terms to both camps. The Trump team agreed to the terms, and then the Harris team wanted to change the mic thing, and I forget, there's one other thing. I don't think it was a sitting down, because that was an early thing. But I don't know. There's some other thing they wanted to see. I don't think it was a big deal. Maybe the number of breaks or something. So I was reading that, and it's like, well, so it seems like the host submitted the terms, and one side agreed, and one side's trying to change it, which isn't exactly the same as someone... the Trump team wasn't trying to change it, that was a weird thing to me. But once they finally just gave up on it and they're like, the mics are going to be silenced.
It's kind of like taunting, right?
Yeah, because they were doing that taunting thing for a while. And so, but afterwards, a member of her staff told somebody, like, yeah, the goal is basically to get Trump off his game, get him angry, get him saying something that maybe sounds a little sexist or racist. And so that was the name of the game. So then the actual debate happens, and it seems like that was still the plan. You couldn't do it with interrupting so much, but it was to get his goat, get him cranky, get him looking angry, and all that. By the way, I haven't complimented your shirt. I like your shirt.
Oh, thanks. Like a mashup. I like it.
Yeah, Beavis and Butthead, Pulp Fiction. Anyway, so I think overall... my overall view of the debate, if I was to summarize it, is I think it started off, Kamala Harris seemed very nervous. Her voice was very shaky. I think she was scared. She hasn't really, the last time, well, I guess the last debate was against Pence, but the last time she debated as the candidate, it ended her campaign. And Trump has been preparing in part with the woman who ended her campaign. And so I don't know if that was part of it. I don't know if it's just because when when you don't know what to talk about, if you don't know what to say, what not to say, if you don't have a lot, because like going into this, they didn't have any policies. Like the only policy they talked about was price controls, and even left wing people were like, hey, let's maybe when someone's calling you a commie, you don't suggest a thing that is communist. So that was like the only policy, and then she had mentioned the $20,000 credit for first home buyers, and everyone's just like, well, I guess the price just went up on every house by $20,000. So like nothing, like, and beyond that, it has been Trump policies. She talked about not taxing tips, and it's like, well, that's great. I love that both candidates are saying no tax on tips. But you do know that that's the other guy's policy he already announced, right? So she's very light on policy to date. And that was one of her big negatives in polling was, and I forget the exact numbers, but people said, not whether you agree, but do you feel like you know where Trump stands on things? You know who Trump is as a candidate, what you got with Trump. And I think it was like 75% or something, being like, yeah. That doesn't mean I like him. That just means I know what I'm getting with Donald Trump. And then for Kamala Harris, it was like 40% was yes. And so, that basically means diehard Democrats or just like, yes. I'm just saying yes for Harris. And then all independents and Republicans are basically like, no, not really. So when you don't have lots of things that debates are hard, when I did the town hall type thing that was not a debate, it was a conversation and all that kind of stuff with Amanda Mackey and whoever else. That was the fun thing. And like, she also was prepared and knew what she was talking about. But yeah, I was just riffing on things that I already knew about. So it wasn't like I didn't have to come up with a catchphrase. I was just, I just spoke about what I knew. It made it easier. Someone brings a point, you go, hold on. I knew about this. And so with Trump, Trump's style, like he prepares, but his thing is not details, it's not getting specifics right. He talks generally about things he did. Everything he did was great, and he says all the words that come in his head, and you say something to him, he's not the normal politician that's good at like deflecting and going, that's a good point you made. Let me talk about something else, like he doesn't do that. He engages, and it tends to work out for him at least half the time, maybe over half the time. So anyway, so my view was Kamala Harris. She started off very nervous. She looked nervous. She sounded nervous. She was saying very prepared, memorized speeches. And then she did execute her game of getting Trump upset and getting him off of his game. I think, some of his biggest mistakes were when he first started answering about the 2020 election. And we're like, no, I did win. Like, yeah, they were cheating. But then he was pivoted away by saying like, but that's the past. I'm about the future, or something like that. And so it's like, that was a good line where it's like, no, I did get jobbed. I believe it still, but I'm moving forward. I think that was a mistake. I think when he called her a Marxist, I think that was a mistake. It's largely meaningless to people, I think. And you hear it so much out of like Fox News type stuff. It has a meaning. But I just don't think to the general public it comes off as anything other than just a Republican insult, So, I think those were some areas I think that he missed some opportunities to pounce on things that she said that were not true. And so he missed a lot of those. I think Kamala Harris had a strong performance in that she made him mad and she kept picking on him. And so she showed herself to be a prosecutor, prosecuting the felon. But she was very light on substance. She said she had plans, but didn't ever talk about what those plans were. And I don't know if just I don't know if just like kind of personal attacks. I mean, it's politics or whatever, it's part of the game. But I don't know if going into like, especially when you're saying all you do, Donald Trump, is like belittle and put people down, when your whole thing is kind of not belittling, but being insulting the whole time. I don't know how that translates to more support. Like maybe she gets a bump for a couple days. I just don't know, because it's not like if she was ticking them off and then bringing the hammer with like, this is something great we have accomplished in these past 3 years, and you're about to see some more of that. She never had that. She had a little bit of a, well, we were cleaning up his mess. These people say they don't like you. These people said that what you did was actually, what you did was bad. Like people that used to work for you said mean things about you. Some Republicans say they're going to vote for me. Like that was about as much substance as it got. So like, as far as a winner, I don't think there was one. I think Trump did better on substance, which is strange to say for Trump. And I think he did worse on optics. And I think when the articles have already been written that you lost the debate before the debate has even occurred, I think that Trump provided fuel for them. And then, of course, the moderators, this was a far cry from that CNN debate. Like, ABC made CNN look good. And, of course, CNN got a lot of grief for being a professional. I mean, just that. They got a lot of grief for being professional while being moderators. And so ABC went like, well, we're not going that route.
Right.
So those guys, like I don't even know their names, but that dude is like, he's one of the...
He put a cowboy hat on and went for it,
He was one of the douchiest people. Like, you just look at him and like, oh, God, like, I don't know. And like, she seems like an uptight piece of work, too. But yeah, they fact-checked him, I guess, 5 times. And they fact-checked her 0 times. But some of the fact checks, some of the things they said as fact checks were just wholly non-factual. And other things were just differing in opinion. Or, that was the other big thing. The biggest mistake Trump made was jumping in on the Haitians eating the pets.
Oh, yeah.
The
internet went wild with that.
Oh, they did. Because, it's been, like, that's been debunked. And there is no evidence. Like, there's one video of a woman who was not an immigrant living in a different part of Ohio who was a crazy lady that ate a cat. That did happen. Other than that, Trump's retort was people in the area in Ohio who are being interviewed on TV are saying that they're stealing their pets. Cats are going missing. They're being eaten. But it's hard to say whether these people are just reading stuff on Facebook and regurgitating it and saying, no, my cousin saw it, or it happened to my cousin. And my cousin's friend, like it's getting real extended out. So, that was a big goof up. But that was one of the things where, like, the moderator guy was like, well, the city manager says there's no evidence of it. And Trump just goes, that's probably what you need to say as a city manager, but all these people are saying. He's like, I don't know that they're saying it,
Yeah, it seemed like the whole debate was more of just an attempt for both to try and embarrass the other and not really gain any sort of added following or added support. I mean,
yeah, I think, and I don't know if they intended to not gain support. I do think I think that's going to be I don't think anybody bettered their position.
Right.
And I think like there might be, like I said, maybe Kamala Harris in a couple polls bumps a couple points or something. But like going into this, Nate Silver was saying basically like 60-40 shot it's going to be Trump. A lot of the polls, all the swing states were a little bit Trump or a little bit even, and we've talked about that. So Trump went into it in a very good position. I don't know if he weakened his position because even they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. First off, hilarious.
It caught me off guard when he said it. I was like, what did he just say?
But it's like, of course he said it. And like, it reminded me of the first debate he was in, or whatever, whenever it was. And he mentioned the migrants. Someone asked him about him saying migrants were getting raped when they're coming into America. So when everybody's walking in to walk in illegally, there are people, there's rapists among them, and people are getting raped, And so they're, you called Hispanics rapist or something. And he's just like, there's people being raped coming up. And they go, well, there's no evidence. Da, 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 da. He goes, somebody's doing the raping. And I forgot we're not allowed to use that word. But it kind of reminded me of that, where it's one of these things you hear it and it's like, it doesn't really matter. Like he says wild stuff a lot. And so I don't think him saying a wild thing now hurts him, If he said like, I don't know, if he said the Holocaust didn't happen, that would probably hurt him,
Right.
But like outside of something that extreme, I just don't know if wild stuff hurts him. What are some of your thoughts on the debate?
I thought it was going well initially, and then he just like you said, she started getting to him.
Yeah.
And he started repeating himself. I'm like, Donald, we already heard this.
Yeah, and with Trump,
or like focus on one of those 4 topics you just blurted out.
Yeah, he did a lot of that. He did a lot of that blurting. And like when you looked at the polls on people's top concerns, economy, illegal immigration, and I think inflation is separate from economy, and then like abortion's up there too, and like a 4th place, something like that. And so he polls stronger on the economy and on illegal immigration and on inflation. So like that's one reason he was talking about that stuff. I mean, illegal immigration is what sprung him. That's what got him to be president the first time when he came down. He just started talking about that. He made that his like big issue, and it responded. Like a lot of people responded to it. Now it's the numbers are so insane that like it's even worse. So of course, like why not? But so I think some of that is by design. From the training. Hey, these are the top concerns about people, and you poll really good on those. And like I think he held his own on the abortion thing that Kamala polls better on. If anybody's listening and not saying that he's a liar just simply because he's talking, if they are someone who has abortion, like wants access to abortion to remain and to not have either a federal ban, like if their concern is a federal ban, Republicans banning it, or even a federal law at heartbeat bill or something like that. I think that if they were watching, listening, and not closed off to the possibility that Trump might be giving his honest opinion, I mean, he reiterated that he is not in support of a federal abortion ban, that to pass it the states. And one thing he was saying, which I don't know how well he made the point, but he was like, a lot of states have voted since then. Kansas, very liberal the way they voted. Ohio, they went very liberal in the way they voted. He's like, the state, basically what he was saying was like, these states have started deciding and they're going different directions. Some places are doing heartbeat or total ban or whatever, and some people are going the opposite direction. Florida's polling like we're going to do one of these stupid amendments where we basically prevent any abortion restriction from ever being passed, which I dislike, because I don't like the amendment process already for Florida, like past laws. Don't because this whole everybody vote on everything. Like one, people go in and just mark yes sometimes or just no sometimes, and like so you got people who are just not paying attention that are voting, and then people can be swayed easily because they kind of read it and they think about it for about 1.5 seconds just based on the wording on the ballot, and they don't chew on it all. They go, yeah, okay.
Well, and they provide the summary now too.
Yeah, it's a summary, but it's like you read the summary, and so that's it. Like you got a little summary, you think about it for a second, where you go, yeah, that sounds good, And so so you see a summary that goes like,
You're like, kick that domino over.
yeah, no, it's like protects access to like women's health care, including IVF and abortion and whatever. And people go, well, I don't want to get rid of IVF, and fertility stuff, and I don't. And like you might say, I don't think they should make abortion illegal, but what it doesn't say is like it's such an open-ended constitutional amendment as opposed to a law, where it's like, okay, you're saying you can't pass laws to restrict access, right? And so it does put you in that situation where you can get into the late-term abortion, which was brought up in here. Where it goes, okay, like people, it never happens. It's like, well, it does, and like right now, 44 states don't allow late-term third trimester abortions, but 6 do, and so after this, we will no longer be a state that can limit it if it passes. Because any law on the books that limits it will be challenged as unconstitutional, and they will be taken away. And basically, it'll say, well, if it's between a doctor, if the doctor decides for the woman's health, which a lot of times they say both physical and mental, so you just have a doctor that says it's required, and 38 weeks, 39 weeks, even to the point of crowning, some of these laws have been written, according to the people that submit the laws in their state houses. It's like, okay, so if it's 40 weeks and someone's crowning, would this law allow for an abortion? And they have answered, yes. They go, well, it's between the doctor and the patient. He's like, right, just legally speaking is allowed. Yes. All right, let's, did you, I don't know, do you want to give anything else before we start going through these clips?
No, I hope we figure something out, because the back and forth on the issue is just like,
an abortion.
Yeah.
Well, and that's something he was saying that, which probably not totally true, that everybody wanted this to be kicked back to the states. Not everybody, but anybody that was like Republicans did, or at least conservative Republicans did, and anybody else. Like my position was just that it was like improper it was judicial overreach for the Roe versus Wade ruling. Was just judicial overreach. It basically set a national law, which is not the job of the Supreme Court. Like it didn't rule on an existing law to say that's a fine federal law. It created a de facto federal law, which it doesn't have the power to do.
Was it like a precedent?
It was because it became a legal precedent, and it was just that court made more of these rulings where they're willing to like make these big sweeping changes. Whereas like the current court, what's his face? He gets criticized a lot.
Clarence?
No, not Clarence. The head guy is John Roberts. But he wants to do the opposite. He wants to make sure that he doesn't have a legacy of big sweeping changes, And so they like to nibble around the edge, do a very limited ruling on a very specific thing. And so to try and minimize how big of a change it can happen. The Roe versus Wade thing was pretty shocking because of that, because it's very much not what Roberts likes to do with his court. But the thing is, kicking it to the states, and really, I think it should be kicked all the way to the county level. If you live in a place and everyone decides in that place, in that county, we don't like abortions here. All right, sounds good. Next county over, they go, we love abortions here. All right, sounds like
county level makes more sense.
County would be great. I don't think we'll ever get that. I mean, state is better than federal. County is better than state, and so you can keep getting it tighter. But like, it's just gonna be tough because you have like a few camps. You have the abortion is bad from the point of conception to forever, and then you have the same people that say that same thing, and it's murder. So if you get an abortion, you should be locked up as a murderer, right? Then you got the people that say there should be literally no restrictions on it whatsoever. That is not a baby until it is born and declared a baby, Because if it's born, but you're in the process of an abortion and the baby's sitting there alive, people say the no restriction people will be like, well, it's part of an abortion already, so that is not a baby that's born over there. That's an aborted circumstance. So let it die, and that's like literally something that is a policy of that. And then you got people that go like, listen, either there's people that abortion is a good thing, maybe up to 20 something weeks, and you have people who go, I'm not crazy about it, but probably somewhere in that 15 to 20 weeks is probably right. Or sounds fine. I can live with that, So you got a good chunk of people in the sort of middle that say kind of 15 to 20 weeks I can kind of live with, whether they go, like 7 abortions sounds good, or if they go, you shouldn't do it. But, and so like you got a chunk that is there, but the no restriction people, they don't want any restrictions. And the no matter what, it's always murder people, it's just that's murder, And I think really the solution is just is changing hearts, really. Like to end abortion, I don't think the way to do it is by locking people in cages and like taking away, because shit does happen, And so like if you're calling someone a murderer and you're treating them like a total piece of garbage, they're never going to listen to what you have to say. And if you're locking people up for these things, like I think that's just a horrible precedent to set. I don't think you could make a good argument for taking, some 23-year-old girl and being like, hey, you got life in prison or the death sentence because of an abortion. But I think, it just has to be, I think as a society, if we stop discussing it as if it is something other than ending the life of a baby, because, that's the point of it. The point is you are pregnant and you don't want that baby to be born. So, it's like, it's not life.
For whatever reason.
Yeah, for whatever reason. And, it's not life. Okay, fine. But like with medical advancements, like at 21 weeks, babies can survive now. So it's like at 22 weeks, what does that mean now? So like, if people start thinking about consequences more, taking more ownership of their decisions, I think naturally abortion rates will go down if people just start being more considerate of their actions and their decision making. And I think that's really where, above and beyond abortion, that is where we need to get to as a society, Because other than that, like, I don't know, it's a political football, and they're just going to keep playing with it, All right, so let's go to some clips. This is just because it weirded me out. We can let it loop a time or two. This is just the very beginning of the debate, right? And I guess, Biden made a point of not shaking hands with Trump, or both. Maybe it was both directions or something. But they weren't shaking hands. That was bad blood. And I think Hillary Clinton too. Maybe she started it. So anyway, this is beginning, and Kamala decided to go with a different point. But here, let this loop a time or two. Here. Time or two.
Harris, let's have a good debate.
Okay,
Thank you.
1 second here.
Kamala Harris, let's have a good debate.
Have fun.
Thank you.
Kamala Harris, no joke. Like, that's the whole reason I have this clip.
They've never met before.
Like, yeah, well, apparently they haven't met in person, but it's like, we know everyone knows who you are. You're running for president against that man. He has talked about you constantly. Like, I mean, I guess, and they workshop that. They workshop
That was so awkward.
Yeah, Kamala Harris, let's have a good debate. Kamala Harris, let's have a good debate. And everyone's like, oh, she won. She walked over for the handshake. And it's like, she's walking a lot faster. Like, yeah, he didn't like meet her halfway or whatever. I'm sure he wasn't expecting the handshake. And he's like, oh, and he said whatever.
She got the whole shot,
Yeah, but she walked in there and said, Kamala Harris, let's have a good debate. It's like, okay. I mean, I don't know. I found that weird. Not that let's have a good debate. Even if she's like, nice to see you in person, nice to meet you in person, finally. But like, we know your name. Everybody knows your name. I don't know. I was watching last night, and this happens. I was like, did she just say her name? Did that just happen? And the answer is yeah. I looked it up today just to confirm. That's it. There's no great review in there other than just like. Like, imagine him walking up, because, like, they've never met. He goes up, hey, Donald J. Trump. It's like, yeah, we know. We know. All right, so.
Really?
That's it on that one. We're going to hop to the next. It's weird, right? Okay, good. He's nodding, people. He's nodding. All right, let me see. I forget which one this is. So,
week
all right,
and this
you
week,
don't talk. Stop talking. I gotta get better about that button. Okay, let's see what the hell they're talking about.
pathetic man that you saw at a debate just a few months ago, that if he weren't in that debate,
Oh,
he'd be
yes.
running instead of her. She got no votes. He got 14 million votes. What you did, you talk about a threat to democracy. He got 14 million votes, and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her.
Hates
he
her.
can't stand her.
Can't stand it.
But he
Mr.
got 14 million votes.
Mr. President,
They
remember
threw him
yourself.
out. She got 0 votes. And when she ran, she was the first one to leave because she failed. And now she's running. I don't understand it, but
Mr.
I'm
President,
okay with it
Mr.
because
President, your time is
I
up.
think we're
Thank
going to
you.
do very well.
We've got a lot more to get.
Okay, so this is him. Obviously, this is him addressing like the threat to democracy thing. He's bringing in the fact that no one voted for. Which I think it's a valid thing to work in there, like because no one voted for her. I mean, the delegates did. The committee, but she was selected, or the convention, but she was selected before the convention. Excuse me.
Nancy Pelosi chose her, right?
I still think I was talking to Jimmy about this over the weekend, and he disagrees, but I don't know. I think I can convince him. I think Kamala, I think it's the most politically savvy thing Kamala ever did. I think she stole that from the Obamas. I think she stole it from the DNC. They got that letter written by Steve. Steve wrote a good letter where, Biden retired, and I guess Steve signed it. Somebody signed it. Whoever, it wasn't Biden that signed it. Somebody signed it. And so, Biden's hospitalized somewhere because of COVID and whatever happened in Las Vegas. So he's just gone. Someone writes this letter for him. Somebody signs it. Maybe it was Jill. I don't know.
Was it faux Biden?
Yeah. Somebody was. Yeah.
I miss faux Biden.
Me too. I forgot about that guy. Ever since he stopped running for president, now we're just back to not seeing anybody. I guess UConn was at the White House for their national championship thing, and I think that was just normal Biden. I gotta look. I forgot about faux Biden. That 12-foot tall, just freak of a
Just
man.
a beast.
Yeah. Just like, come on, we're gonna run for president. So yeah, maybe faux Biden did it, but then okay, and then a couple minutes later, tweet, and I endorse Kamala. And so I think the Kamala camp, I think they jumped on that phone. I think whoever it was, whether it's KJP or another person in the comms department, who is a Kamala Harris loyalist or whatever, or is just in that camp decided to be in that camp, put that out there, and they knew once you put it out there, you can't take it back. It would, as bad as the campaign was for Biden, if the DNC, if Biden said, I endorse Kamala Harris, and then they deleted it and they said, oh, hey, he doesn't endorse Kamala Harris, then people are like, what a joke. Like, who's even running who's running his account. Somebody ask him if he tweeted that, And so I think they knew if they got it online,
Interesting.
they couldn't take it back. It puts the Obamas, it puts the DNC, it puts Pelosi in a real bad spot where either they have to decide to make that call, or he goes, we are rescinding an endorsement from the sitting president, which requires us saying someone else typed it up, which I think would be treason. I don't know if officially it would, but if you're making an endorsement of the next presidential nominee by a sitting president and it's fraudulent, like that probably borders on treason, So it's a hell of a move to make. And then Trump would just be sitting there going like, look, they're in a disarray. Look at this total disarray that they're in, And
that person's bank account is probably fat.
I'm sure they are quite happy. Either that or whatever horrible thing they did. Because it's Washington, D.C., that's probably not coming out. And they're happy about that, too. All right, so yeah, that was just that's him just calling her out. I don't know. I don't know if it's how much it appealed, but I thought it was interesting. I enjoyed that he did that. Let's see. Okay, this is where we actually get into some fun. I think obviously the Ukraine war is something that has been that is a Biden-Harris war. Trump wasn't hinting about it in office. There's nothing going on really, and so it's hard to blame him. I think they're trying to, but it's hard to blame him. And his big thing is he wants to end the war. Okay. And the Democrats' big thing is they never want to end the war ever for the rest of the time. So this, I hope I grabbed the right one. All right. Well, anyway, this is him being asked about the war.
I don't know why it won't go.
Turn to the war in Ukraine. We're now 2.5 years into this conflict. Mr. President, it has been the position of the Biden administration that we must defend Ukraine from Russia, from Vladimir Putin, to defend their sovereignty, their democracy, and it's in America's best interest to do so, arguing that if Putin wins, he may be emboldened to move even further into other countries. Right. You have said you would solve this war in 24 hours. You said so just before the break tonight. How exactly would you do that? And I want to ask you a very simple question tonight. Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting, which are fake numbers. Look,
that's also true.
We're in for 250 billion or more because they don't ask Europe, which is a much bigger beneficiary to getting this thing done than we are.
That's its whole
They're
NATO.
in for $150 billion less because Biden and you don't have the courage to ask Europe like I did with NATO. They paid billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars when I said, either you pay up or we're not going to protect you anymore. So that's maybe one of the reasons they don't like me as much as they like weak people. But you take a look at what's happening. We're in for 250 to 270.
Oops. Okay, this is the 3-minute one. I hope this is one where she comes back at him. All right, but I think it might just be
They're
him.
into 100 to 150. They should be forced
I don't
to
think the
equalize.
smirk.
With that being said,
the smirk I don't think
I
works
want to get
for.
the war settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a good relationship, and they respect your president.
This is what I think
they
hurts her.
respect me. They don't respect
looks like
Biden. How would you respect him? Why? For what reason? He hasn't even made a phone call in 2 years to Putin. Hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try and get it.
She's
That
doing
is
the
a
Hillary
war
look.
that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president.
Apparently there were some professional actor types that were helping her work on her expressions and her line delivery, which is it's actually not uncommon. These people do this. They bring in actual Hollywood writers to give them zingers, and then they go, hey, then, they might bring in a comedian to punch it up a little bit and be like, no, you got to do it like this way, kind of like if you're at a roast, there's a whole team of people writing your jokes and telling you how to tell them, But I think this is something that's working against her when I talk about how yeah, she's like on the attack, but without substance, it just kind of seems like you're just being a bitch, you know, a little bit, and not in a sexist way. Oh, you know, a woman stands up and she speaks her mind, and she's always a bitch or whatever the hell, you know, that kind of feminist trope. So not in that way, just in very specifically, like these, like making the smirking faces and like during these different topics, like maybe Karen is better, but like it's just, you know, doesn't give off a sense of like this person is a leader as much as this person is good at being mean or being cutting or whatever.
Well, yeah, and she shows she's being affected by everything too.
Yeah, I guess it does. Yeah, but I mean, but she's like all her little smirk face, like like, oh, like doing that. You so stupid. Ew. Like it's bad.
Yeah.
You know, it's the teenage girl. Ew. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter what's happening. Like, she's not coming in and with a clever retort necessarily. It's, you know, ew. And that can only go so far. Real quick, I tried to pull as many clips as I could from ABC. It's very interesting, the posts that they put up on their Twitter account, how they're edited. Because, like, if you wanted to get an exchange that went from Trump to Harris to Trump, good luck. Or vice versa.
Huh.
You could get Trump says this or Harris says this, but you couldn't even get like the back half of a Trump thing, Harris's reply to it, or vice versa. It was just like, okay. And like, cause some of it I was looking up, I was like, I remember something happening here. And it's just like, you're just not going to put that online. Like, it's very curated selection of clips, I have to say. In the whole, there is no difference between the corporate media and the DNC kind of deals. Like, it does seem, and
They're preventing a connection. Like
they're preventing some of the ways that Kamala looked bad. Because even when you look at the content of the tweet, there's a little bit of a editorial in there saying just the way they phrase stuff, you know, where they're making the point Kamala good, Trump bad, you know, which is just like, you know, they're gonna do it, but like because of how obnoxious the stupid moderators were and like how good CNN was, you just go like save it for the spin room afterwards. Like, and like if you're gonna put you know, you gotta pick your clips. How you're gonna pick your clips. Even like the clips you post on Twitter, on X, even those are gonna be like controlled. Yeah, that's the whole using facts to lie thing. Like they don't post anything that's inaccurate in the video, but it's like you only put some and not everything, and then suddenly you go like this exchange. I've got it broken into a couple clips, and I think I may have accidentally closed out the one I really wanted because it was her reply. I'm hoping this next one has her reply on it, but here, let's see.
When I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact, when I saw Putin after I left, unfortunately left because our country has gone to hell. But after I left, when I saw him building up soldiers, he did it after I left. I said, oh, he must be negotiating. It must be a good, strong point of negotiation.
I kind of thought that too, to be honest.
Because Biden had no idea how to talk to him. He had no idea how to stop it. And now you have millions of people dead, and it's only getting worse, and it could lead to World War III. Don't kid yourself, David.
Oh, that's true.
We're playing with World War III, and we have a president that we don't even know if he's... Where is our president? We don't even know if he's a president.
And just to clarify
they
here...
They threw him out of a campaign like a dog. We don't even know. Is he our president? But we have a president,
Mr. President,
that doesn't know he's alive.
Time is up.
It's interesting their timing of going just to him right when he said that. That was really bad for ABC.
There was a few times that I think there's a few times topic changes bailed out Kamala, but there was a couple times they bailed out Trump. I felt like there was some exchange where like he seemed to be getting a little squirrely, like later on when he was getting angry, and then they went to the abortion question or whatever, and so, but I thought like, you know, they kind of bailed him out on not intentionally, like they didn't set out to, but by ending that topic, he kind of dodged a bullet basically. So it is interesting how they kind of cut and how they jump to their questions. All right. And also, anybody that's watching instead of listening, I had to grab these clips from all over the place. Well, here, let's see. Yeah, whatever. So pay no attention to the actual text in these. Okay, hold on. Oh, shit. Here, we go up to the top for me. I think I did get rid of it. That's okay. So we'll go. So Kamala said basically Trump's plan is to give up. So he goes, I'm going to end this on day one. She's like, yeah, you're going to end it on day one because you're going to give up, you know? And so that was her big thing. Like, you're friendly with Putin. You like Putin. You're just going to give up and Ukraine's going to forfeit and you ended the war because Ukraine loses. And so they come back and this is the end of it. I totally closed the wrong damn clip. Anyway.
They sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelensky and Putin, and she did. And the war started 3 days later. And that's the kind of talent we have with her. She's worse than Biden. In my opinion, I think he's the worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country. But let me tell you something. She is a horrible negotiator. They sent her in to negotiate. As soon as they left, Putin did the invasion. They sent her to negotiate.
So that's... I won't find the clip. So that was part of it. I thought that was, a good rebuttal to he's just friendly. He's going to quit. But what came before this in a clip is they go, do you want Ukraine to win? And he goes, and his answer was, I want the war to end. He's like, he didn't say yes, no, whatever. He's like, I want the war to end. And I think that's appropriate in a number of ways. One, U.S. motivations, like Ukraine wins, like the war's over tomorrow, right? Because Russia says we give up and whatever. We just leave. The borders from 2 years ago are back. It's like, okay, what is America getting through that? I mean, it's fine. It's good. Yeah, great. Okay, but America's position, is it strengthened? Is it weakened? No. Okay. Same situation. This time Ukraine says we give up. And Russia goes, all right, well, those 2 areas on your border, they wanted, those are now independent republics of their own. And that's that. And so it's like, okay. So now there's 2 more countries in the world. And those people apparently have been wanting to be independent for a while. But anyway, is it worse for us? I don't know. I don't think so. Is it better for us? I don't think so. We got 2 other countries that you have to possibly trade with, talk to. But I mean, who is the winner? To a degree, is just childish.
Yeah, I mean, either way, we're going to try and put weapons in those countries. As soon as they become countries.
That's a good point you say. I mean, I guess that's the only way it affects us is if part of the peace treaty involves Ukraine saying, we promise we will never join NATO. I mean, it affects us in our war profiteering. But that's the thing. Now if you're talking about say you're open-ended, say a war has not started, right? And you go, a war between Ukraine and Russia. Who would you want to win? You go, Ukraine, because you think, it's war, something's going to happen. And Russia's huge. And so if they're going to beat Ukraine, they're going to storm and take the whole country. Could be World War II level destruction. It could be just crazy. So I guess I'd pick Ukraine to win that war. We got more tension with Russia. That's open-ended where the possibilities are endless. We are in the goals of this war are very limited. Like, Ukraine says we want to give up nothing, and, which is their right to say. And then Russia is saying that these two regions that are ethnically Russian have been complaining that they don't want to be Ukrainian, they want to be independent republics, and they don't like being a puppet of the West. They are more proudly Russian. They don't, and Ukraine's big thing used to be, we don't want to pick sides. Like, we want to work with America sometimes and work with Russia sometimes. They're both really big countries, and we don't want to be in the middle of it, And then we said, not good enough, And they were like, hey, Russia's our literal next door neighbor. So yeah, we do more with them, and we like them a little bit more, but they're still trying to be generally neutral. And so, like, with this, it's just, we're basically just talking about whether these two little areas are officially Ukraine or officially something else. And I think it's that, and it's Ukraine joining NATO, which we've promised that we wouldn't have happen for decades. It's not like a new promise we'd have to make. It'd be literally just keeping our existing promise that they won't join NATO. So that's an easy one. You go, okay, they don't get to join NATO. We promised over and over again. So we'll keep our promise. And then, like, as far as like the region that control, like, who cares?
Right. Millions of people have to die to
so many people
just to draw some lines.
And we're just wrecking that kind. Like, Ukraine is being destroyed. And like I said in the past, like, it's just going to be a Black Rock Jamba Juice when they're done with it, Like, it's just going to be a shopping mall without character. It'll be this Western just milk toast crap is what we're turning Ukraine into. And they're going to be pissed. And we're going to be at war with them in 30 years because we ruined their country. When the Azov government rises up and we have to fight the damn Ukrainian Nazis that Putin says he was going in to get rid of. And we'll probably team up with Russia in that war. But anyway, so that's this whole idea, like, well, don't you want Ukraine to win? It's like, who cares? Like, let's end the war so no Ukrainians are dying anymore. So Russian troops aren't in Ukraine anymore. Let's say, Russia, you go home. Ukraine, you stay home. As far as these regions, I don't know. That's the negotiating table. But yeah, you don't get to be...
go to your corner.
Go to your corners. You don't get to be in NATO. I'm sorry. And then, I don't know. We'll discuss these two regions. How's it going to shake out?
Crack some beers, guys.
Yeah, vodka. Come on.
Yeah, whatever.
Like, but, you haven't paid your own way in a long time, Ukraine. Like, you don't have the ability to fight this war. We're fighting the war, and we don't want to go to World War III. Like, not going to World War III and not bankrupting our country is more important than you keeping two, like, Rhode Island sized provinces under your government. Like, I don't care. There used to be Czechoslovakia, right? There's now Czech Republic and there's Slovakia. When that happened, how did that affect you, Charlie?
I don't remember.
Yeah. No one cares. No one cares. They care over there. I think they're happy about it. I don't know. I know it didn't affect me at all or literally anyone here. And there's been other countries that have changed recently. The fairly recent history does not affect us at all. Where a country's borders are does not, as long as they're not infringing on ours, it really doesn't affect us. So anyway, but I thought that was a strong reply on Trump's part. It's like, I want the war to stop and for people to stop dying. And so, like, that's something I wrote down where I was like, I like that one. Let's get, how far are we into this show? I've been talking too much.
53.
Oh, God. Okay, let me see. Let's see. Let's compare plans. That's a stupid one. So this was just her just kept saying, like, she had a plan, but she never really talked about her plan. In that one, she did talk about, the $50,000 tax credit for small business people, which I got a small business, but, like,
It was so random.
yeah, just why don't you end the corporate tax? But, like, it's like, yeah, sure, tax breaks, sure. And then, like, giving $6,000 to, what was it, for
First kid, I
first
think.
kid or something? Yeah, it was, all right, child tax credits, good, fine. Yeah, like, tax credits are good. But, like, it's just such a weird random plan of just, like, money. It's like, here's money for small businesses. And it's like, but if you keep spending this way and inflation keeps going, like, that 50 grand, fine. And is that an annual tax rebate? Is that the first year? Because I think she said new small businesses. So it's just for startup, which, okay, cool.
Yeah, like the purchasing power of it, it's not going to be 50 grand.
No, when it's a rebate, you know? So they don't give you cash. It's like at the end of the, okay, so you got like 50,000 to like write off. They're not going to send you a check, you know? It's just now for the next 10 years, you get to write down this loss, which, I mean, it's not nothing. Like, anytime you can reduce taxes, I'm in favor. But, like, that was the extent of her plans, you know? All right. That's crying. That wasn't that exciting. That was January 6th. Okay, let's see. Actually, here, we'll do this little thing. This guy put together 5 lies. So some of this might be
Continuous lying about this.
here. Yeah. Some of this might be a repeat, but he mashed up some Harris lies. And here we go.
Stuff.
We have to have a buyback program, and I support a mandatory.
And I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So stop with the continuous lying about this stuff.
We have to have a buyback program, and I support a mandatory buyback program. It's got to be smart. We got to do it the right way.
Do you believe in the mandatory buyback of quote unquote assault weapons?
I do believe that we need to do buyback.
Let's remember
Mandatory.
Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate.
They were saying,
And what
charity.
did the president then at the time say?
What's new?
There were fine people on each side.
This has been
You had
debunked.
some very bad people in that
Oh,
group.
here it is.
But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, and you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally.
There
But
you
you
go.
had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the Supreme Court had
It goes
great
on. People
courage in
like-
doing it.
people
and
that-
I give tremendous credit to those 6 judges.
He said there's people there that really liked the statues and, you know, liked the park. They didn't want it. They thought it was Robert E. Lee Park. They liked it. And there's people that want to change. You know, that was he was like, not the Nazis. And, like, to the point where, like, Snopes and everyone has debunked this. And, like, Biden repeated it all the time, too. And, like, this is one of the things that really irks me about Biden-Harris is the things like this that have been, like, debunked by the left. Because, like, there's something Trump said, that was debunked by everybody, by Sean Hannity, by, you know, Republican. And it's like, all right, you should have said it's debunked by, you know, the Poynter Institute, by, you know, by all these left-wing places. Like, because that's the thing. The left keeps saying that it's a lie. And then you keep repeating it, which tells me that you are very callously dishonest. You know, if you're saying something that you know is a lie, and every time you say it, people on your side that want you to win say, well, that's a lie. This isn't true. And they publish it in papers, they put it on TV, and you go, I'm going to say it again. I think that one works. It's just like, all right, well, that's not even, there's not a hint of, you can be hyperbolic, right? You can say, this was the best policy in the world. This helped millions of people, and really didn't help anybody, or help a person, or it was kind of helpful. Well, you know, you do stuff like that.
Like exaggerating.
Yeah, you can exaggerate, and which is technically, it's like, that's kind of a lie. You can, I don't know, you can be colorful, you can be selective. There's different ways where you can go, well, not totally dishonest, you know? But then there's things like that where it's like, it's a lie. It's a lie. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. Like, it did not happen. And you've been saying it for years, and it has been thoroughly debunked at this point, you know? But the people that have that kind of character, that's what gets me, you know?
What a weird life.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's the other thing. Like, it's Donald Trump. You can come up with lots of things to say about Donald Trump. Like, you don't have to resort to falsehoods. Talk about things he's actually said.
Right.
He says crazy stuff, you know? Yeah, let's see what else is on here. That's probably whatever.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump.
It says, under Governor Tim Walz, babies born alive in
She was
botched
big
abortion.
on defund the...
Hold on. Yeah. Babies born alive in botched abortions were left to die, then he removed reporting requirements. So that's twofold. One, this is literally talking about babies who the abortion process was unsuccessful with, that they kind of, you leave them to die on the shelf, basically. And so there used to be reporting requirements anytime you had to do it. Then he was like, yeah, let's not even talk about it. So for one, that does happen. Two, I think what he's really kind of talking about, maybe more so than that, though he did talk about the governor of Virginia discussing exactly this, or not the former governor, but there's also things called partial birth abortions. They are not common. They're not common. It's, less than 1% of them. But it is a multi-day process, and it's horrible, and you're killing sometimes a totally viable baby. I mean, always a viable baby, just might have. But and it's, a fully formed baby that sometimes, depending on which way they do it, sometimes they take the baby almost out before scrambling their brains, and as long as that head doesn't come all the way out, it hadn't been born. This is not a common practice. There's only 6 states that don't have laws against it. Well, partial birth, I think, did finally get, the partial birth abortions did get banned federally, but the third trimester ones, so you can't do that part anymore, but you could up until I think 2006 or something, 2007. But I think now there is a federal law against partial birth abortions. But still, you can... We'll see. You can do other stuff. But anyway, so that's, the fact that, the vice president for Harris and also a former governor of Virginia before this current governor, they both discussed babies who survive abortions. And at that point, they're a baby outside the womb that's disconnected from the mother. And it's like, you just finish the job. Okay.
She was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went...
Where do you stand on defund the police?
Look, right. So here's the thing. Defund the police. The issue behind it is that we need to reimagine how we are creating safety. And when you have many cities that have 1/3 of their entire city budget focused on policing, we know that is not the smart way and the best way or the right way to achieve safety. For too long, the status quo thinking has been you get more safety by putting more cops on the street. Well, that's wrong.
And then also, again, what we need to do about demilitarizing
smart
our
cops
schools.
on the street.
Yeah.
And taking police officers out of school.
Demilitarizing police is a good thing.
On that point, Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
If this and the outcome of this election is not to
There's his face.
Mexico has taken over a period of 30 years 34% of the automobile manufacturing business in our country. Think of it. Went to Mexico. China now
Not just
is building
auto,
a
medical's
couple of
there too.
massive plants where they're going to
yeah.
build the cars in Mexico and think that they're going to sell those cars into the United States
Think they
with
make
no
like
tax at the
80%
border.
of
Let
the
me tell you
EVs or
something to
something?
China. If you're listening, President Xi, and you and I are friends, but he understands the way I deal, those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now,
Yeah.
and you think you're going to get
Yeah.
that, you're going to not hire Americans,
Let's get
and
to
you're
the
going to sell
point.
the cars to us now. We're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car
And I am not
that comes
a fan of
across
that.
the line, and you're not going to be able to sell
She
those
referred
cars.
to it as
If
the
I get
Trump sales
elected-
tax, which I don't
now,
think
if
is
I don't
clear.
get elected,
but
it's
it
going to be a
is true.
bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country.
So obviously he
That'll be
was
the
saying
least of it.
economically bloodbath in regards to the automobile industry. So that's another thing that there's video. It's just dishonest, kind of like I don't know. There's just other stuff like that she'd pull out. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the tariffs.
Yeah.
And so I think,
I get it. If we're being tariffed, so your initial reaction is to, all right, we'll just do the same tariff. You
well,
know?
and he's saying because they manipulate their currency, they're trying, they're able to, they basically will sell at a loss, in order to get into the market with cheap goods, and there's a school of thought that says in the total war theory of China that economics is part of the warfare. If tariffs is part of a strategy that leads somewhere, like not a permanent thing, but we're gonna do this in order to weaken China this way so that they respond like that. Like I don't know, like I can understand it to a certain degree. The problem is it hurts. I mean, China to a degree where they can't import their stuff to us, so that minimizes the customer base. But anything that does come in from China, like we pay for that, and like not having an inexpensive alternative to another EV, like that hurts the end user more than anybody else. I'm not a tariff guy. Here, I do want to watch. I know we're kind of going over. Let's do. I'm gonna watch this one.
You're only at 5 over.
Okay, we're gonna watch this one girl calling an abortion clinic to hear about how these late-term abortions occur, and then we'll watch some closing statements. I just find, as far as like the claim that late-term abortions do not happen in America, this is like an undercover person who's in a anti-abortion group, but she's calling up an abortion clinic in Bethesda, Maryland.
Right, calling the Care Clinic in Bethesda, Maryland.
Thank you for calling Care. How can I help you?
I am looking to have an abortion.
How far along are you?
I'm 34 right now. I am in a pretty desperate situation.
34.
My boyfriend is kind of out of the picture now, so I don't really have any support.
An abortion at any stage is actually much safer than delivering a term pregnancy. It's a 4 to 5 day procedure. We do some basic lab work on you and start to dilate your
Safer?
cervix. After that, we do what we call the fetal injection. A needle is inserted through the abdomen and into the fetal heart where lidocaine is injected, and that will completely numb the fetus so there's no pain. And then after that, we inject a medication called digoxin and another medication called KCL into the fetal heart, which will slow and then stop.
That is
and that's safe.
Not for the fetus, but it's basically it shuts down the ability to like pump out potassium, and then it's KCl, potassium chloride, and then they pump in a bunch of potassium, so it basically just screws up the heart and makes it slow down and stop
the fetal heartbeat. And then on that 4th day, depending on how your cervix is dilated, we'll break your water, and then we'll give you a medication called misoprostol. Misoprostol will sort of induce contraction and increase the dilation of your cervix. You're going to have contractions and cramping, and then we'll assist you in sort of pushing in the induction and then remove all of the products of conception. You're definitely going to feel discomfort and cramping and a lot of pressure, but we do give you fentanyl and Versed during the procedure. We specialize in later trimester care. Our doctor is very well versed in what he's doing, and he's very well good. Versed.
So I'm not like a rare situation. Y'all help women this late in pregnancy all the time?
All the time.
I don't know, maybe present it differently?
Yeah, I mean, I think she presented it in a very medical way. I mean, but like the product of conception will help you remove the 34-week product of conception. It's like okay, this is where it really gets me. It's like, what is this product of conception you're removing? It's like, you can call it the fetus, the now dead fetus, but it's a baby. It's a baby, and like it's just
maybe that's them tiptoeing around.
It's definitely would be horrible bedside manner to tell a girl, refer to it as a baby. But like, I mean, at 34 weeks, like, holy, come on. Like you remember reading the books and seeing how big the kid was at these times. Like, I mean, 34 weeks is more than viable. I think the chance that like going into an early, childbirth at 34 weeks, I think your chances are well over 90% at that point. I think like 32 weeks is when you get into like that super safe place. Once again, this is not a major thing, but it is inaccurate for a moderator to jump in during a debate to say there's no place where that's happening, And she said there's no place where babies are being born, blah, blah, blah. Which, okay, that's technically, well, I guess depending on what you think about Minnesota and Virginia, that's kind of accurate. But, like, I think the greater point was that not, like, the greater point is that, yes, like, there are people that are having these super late abortions, and surely we can agree that that's not okay. Like, even, like, surely that's the thing, like,
unless medically necessary, right?
There's always the exception. There's like always the exception.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but the problem is right now, the way these things are written as they go, unless decided by the healthcare professional and the woman, that it is good, that's required for their health, physical or mental.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if
it dances, it's like a view from 30,000 feet then.
Yeah, like physical health, like it will kill that mom. I think there are people out there that are absolutists that say, well, you don't kill the baby, you take that risk. But I think majority of pro-life type people would say, well, that's understandable. Save the mom.
Save the mom.
Yeah, or at least they don't think it should be illegal to save the mom,
Right.
But, like, mental health, kids are stressful. You're 22 and you go, oh my God, I'm just freaking out. Like, it's so close and I don't have the energy. I just saw these. I went to my sister's house and her kids are running amok and she looks so stressed. I can't even picture her. It's like, she just might need sleep. She just might need a nap. But, or a therapist. But, like, because mental health, it's like, let's slow down a little bit on that one, All right, let's we'll go into some closing arguments here. We'll start with Kamala since she went first anyway, and we'll just go from Kamala right into Trump, and then we'll kind of do a summary. Make it big.
The time has come for closing statements, and Vice President Harris, we begin with
Both ways you presented that.
So I think you've
Both these
heard
moderators,
tonight
I just
two
want to slap.
very different visions for our country. One that is focused on the future, and the other that is focused on the past.
Which one were you?
And an attempt to take us backward. But we're not going back. And I do believe that the American...
Real quick, she seemed to talk a lot about January 6th and things he said in the past, but she's the one
losing the election.
Yeah, but she says she's the one that's looking. I mean, the implication is she's the one that's looking towards the future, but that's really not what she's talking about. And there was no plan.
And people know we all have so much more in common than what separates us, and we can chart a new way forward. And a vision of that includes having a plan. Understanding the aspirations, the dreams, the hopes, the ambition of the American people, which is why I intend to create an opportunity economy, investing in small businesses, in new families, in what we can do around protecting seniors, what we can do that is about giving hardworking folks a break and bringing down the cost of living. I believe in what we can do together. That is about sustaining America's standing in the world and ensuring that we have the respect that we so rightly deserve, including respecting our military and ensuring we have the most lethal fighting force in the world.
That he called them losers
I will
and suckers
be a
or whatever.
president that will protect our fundamental rights and freedoms, including the right of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. I'll tell you, I started my career as a prosecutor. I was a DA, I was an attorney general, a United States senator, and now vice president. I've only had one client, the people. And I'll tell you, as a prosecutor, I never asked a victim or a witness, are you a Republican or a Democrat? The only thing I ever asked them Are you okay?
It's the only thing you ever asked
And
him.
that's the kind of president we need right now.
A victim? You didn't have
Someone
any
who
other
cares
questions?
about you and
The
is
witness?
not putting
No
themselves
questions.
First.
You okay?
I intend to be a president for
We
all
rest.
Americans and focus on what we can do over the next
State
10
rests.
and 20 years
okay.
to build back up our country by investing right now in you, the American people.
Vice President Harris.
All right, so that was hers. Obviously, we've been joking a bit because it seems ridiculous. She's not saying a whole lot of anything. She has a plan. She just won't tell the plan. She doesn't know the plan.
Well, we're supposed to come up with it, apparently.
I mean, it's finding out what our aspirations and our hopes and dreams are at an individual level so that the federal government can then tailor how much money they throw at each of us for our dreams. I want to be independently wealthy. $1 billion is what I want. That is my aspiration.
I like his plan.
All right. You can sign up to my plan. Kamala, send the checks to Loaded Talk. Yeah, I don't know. It's just nothing. You know, it just didn't seem to, like, for as long as they prepared, I just feel like they could have done something better with that, you know? Like, that was just not a good, I mean, she was trying to go to the Obama lane. You know, there's no red America and blue America. There's only United States of America. It's kind of difficult when you've been in this administration where, like, you had red angry Joe with that crazy thing. It's just like, yeah, I don't know, the extreme MAGA, whatever the hell's. It's just neither one of them are in a good position to make that strong unity call, you know? All right, let's hear Trump. He, I feel, got more of his points that he wanted to get in. I feel like this was a stronger statement, specifically. We'll see it.
So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years.
That's the
They've
point.
had three and a half years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it, and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like we're not going to frack, we're not going to take fossil fuel, we're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year, they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world, they're laughing. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me.
And they laugh.
We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're
They
not
said,
a
"Did you
leader.
slip on a
We don't
banana
have
peel?
any
What
idea
happened?"
what's going
They're
on.
laughing.
We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine.
I think this is
We're gonna
another
end up in a third
one of his
world
big
war,
points,
and
you
it'll
know.
be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She
That's
gave a
not
lot of it
really
away
true.
to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What these people have done to our country, and maybe toughest of all, is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
It was a little...
Yeah, a little... Got it. But I think he made more of his points in his closing statement. Kamala did try to hang the Afghanistan withdrawal on Trump, too, by saying that he negotiated with the Taliban, all this kind of stuff. And Trump did shoot back on that one where he's like, they didn't do anything, you know, like y'all screwed it up. Like we had stuff in place and then y'all screwed up. All right. So like, I think, it doesn't really matter. I can just rattle it off real quick. So apparently, Reuters had like a room with 10 undecided voters in it, right? They didn't know what was up. So they watched the whole debate. 6 of them said now they were definitely or probably going to vote for Trump. 3 of them said probably, definitely. Kamala, and one said still undecided. And so as much as like today, all of the spin is how Kamala won. Everyone's talking like Kamala won big, and like she did, she spent more time smiling and, oh, John, you did that. And like she got more barbs. She got more jabs in, right? So like as far as just like a scorecard on punches, she won on punches, right? As far as like knockdowns, there really wasn't any,
Right.
And so that's my whole thing. Like when I was watching it, the various times because there's this other website the Federalist has 25 lies they say Kamala did. Everything from calling herself a middle class kid to I don't know, tax cuts, border bills. Oh yeah, she did the thing of blaming the border bill on Republicans not voting for it. Like, that's why the border's still bad. It would have been solved, but this one bill that would have solved everything. But anyway, I think I don't think that there was any knockdowns. So like I think she won on the jabs, but you always go, all right, well what? I know from following stuff like, oh, that's a lie, like that's factual, and so on substance, I thought at the end of it, I was like, well, she didn't have any, it's like, I don't think that's going to do anything for her. But all of a sudden the news has just been, Kamala's great, she won, she kicked his butt, just kicked him into next week. And so you go, oh, okay. It's like, I wonder if that's a perception. And then in this Reuters group, it was 2-1 Trump. And then Fox News had this thing where they're tracking their group of people, Democrats, independents, and Republicans. And they kind of, I don't know, they were tracking the support somehow during this thing. I just watched a clip or whatever. And it also showed, it's Fox News, so of course their thing is going to show favorables to Trump. But at the end of the day, I think like we talked about at the beginning, I think this was an event, I think, I don't think Kamala's position is permanently better. I don't think Trump's is permanently better. I don't know that it moved the needle much at all. I think she showed that she still isn't clear about what her plans are, other than a couple of little things. Did you see... Oh, I didn't get it. He had a good line about her copying Joe Biden's policies.
I think I remember him saying something about it.
He said, it's like, they can't even come up with their own policies. They copied over from Biden's. And these are simple sentences. This is just like 4 sentences, like run, dog, run, or whatever. Run, spot, run. And so, but what happened was earlier, I guess yesterday or the night before last, they suddenly had policies up on the website. But the metadata, like if you share a link to the policy page, it said like, help reelect Joe Biden. So like they copied it to such a degree that the metadata in there still said it was for Joe Biden's reelection, and you just go, oh, come on. So I think, I don't know. I just don't think this could have been more fun. I like that they did kind of still... They didn't interrupt, but they did speak during the silences to try, Trump especially, to get his mic turned on, and they did keep turning his mic on, and then he did have his little moment. Excuse me, I'm talking. Sound familiar?
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. So he got some zingers too. I think, I think some of the stuff. I think J.D. Vance did a good job afterwards in the spin rooms, like clarifying things on like the abortion ban, because they really like. Will you commit to vetoing an abortion ban? He's just like, I'm not in favor of an abortion ban. But he didn't say, I commit to vetoing it. And he's like, well, J.D. Vance said you did. And so J.D. Vance explained it. He goes, listen, he doesn't want that. He doesn't support it. He's like, there's no way that legislation gets through the House and the Senate. He's like, it's never going to come to his desk. It's never going to pass. Like, why would he spend time talking about vetoing a bill that's never going to pass, So, like, I thought he did a good job with that. I thought, Walls here, we're not going to play this, but I just want you the different optics. This, can you cut to that? This is how the Walls interview began. Look at that nut. He looks like the Joker. He looks like in the first Batman, the Tim Burton, when you get hit with that Joker gas. Yeah. Look, I mean, it looks like even the mouth shape's the same. It's just, that whole joy thing. Oh, joyful, joyful. We don't have to listen to it. And like you were saying, I'm like, why is his connection so bad? How come he couldn't have a...
Yeah, it was all jumpy.
Why wouldn't he on site,
Yeah.
Or on site with some of the networks, I don't know. Anyway, I think overall, probably net nothing. Probably big nothing. I think both campaigns will have some stuff to show. Trump might be able to get... I think they'll both get their sound bites. I just don't know. I don't know if it'll matter. I just don't know if it'll matter.
Are there any more of these planned?
Well, so this morning, Trump said he's not inclined to do another one because he won this one so substantially that he just doesn't see the point. But that he doesn't know. He's like, time will tell. But he's like, I'm inclined to say no because I won. But I don't know. Things happen. And then Kamala Harris was, let's do 5 more, And so, like, she's feeling real good today. And so we'll see. Maybe there will be. There'll probably be at least one more. Like, especially, I don't know. It depends. Like, if all the polls really stay unchanged, I don't see a point for Trump to want to do another one. I would see a point for Harris to want to do another one, try and get in there. So, but like early voting starts in Pennsylvania, like in a week or two. Like it's, I forget exactly when, but I think it's in September that they start early. Or is it October? I don't know. It's soon though. But I think like Pennsylvania is super early. They're voting. So like soon it won't even matter, All right, well, that's kind of our review. We watched some highlights. We had some fun. And so, who knows what's in store for the rest. Please subscribe and get your alerts. Share it with friends. Yeah, give us a watch if you want to. If you're tired, just listening because we're beautiful. Till next week, what you got, Charlie?
I have nothing.
Yeah, that's right.
I felt like I wasted my time watching that last night.
To a degree. And now we've wasted yours. Congratulations. Bye, everybody.